I definitely recommend packing some bait in the boat, whether it's waxworms, night crawlers, or even panfish leeches.
Add a chunk of crawler on the back or minnow.
The jig and minnow bite has been good.
Fish with a little bigger minnow like a creek chub or a sucker minnow.
Use a spot tail shiner or rainbow chub on this.
They're pound and shiner minnows because the shiner's up shallow.
By and large, if you can find leeches below a slip bobber, that's where it's at right now.
Welcome to Angling Buzz presented by Fleet Farm. I'm Troy Linder. On today's show, we're going to talk about one of the most highly effective methods for catching fish, and that's using live bait and delivery systems for night crawlers, minnows, and leeches. In recent years, we've seen a surge with anglers using only artificial baits for walleye and panfish. But the fact is, live bait can be extremely effective for a couple of different reasons. Number one is scent and taste. Now, fish have highly developed organs for smell and taste that helps them find and catch food. Number two, the mood of the fish. As you've experienced, and I know I have many times, fish are either inactive or neutral when I'm out there fishing for them. And this is when live bait, presented correctly, can be absolutely key at turning inactive fish into biting. And throughout the season, waxworms and Eurolarva, they're great for panfish and trout. When we switch to walleye, night crawlers, leeches, and minnows. And then for catfish and sturgeon, live bait, cut bait, and then moving up in size to live suckers, well, that works great for muskie during the cold water season. On today's show, we're joined by Joel Nelson. Now, Joel, what are some important factors you can share with us about bait fishing?
We use bait a lot throughout the year for a lot of different fish species, and the first thing I would like to look at is the types of live bait delivery systems in general. And most bait fishing is simple. It's hook, line, sinker type deal, and of course the right bait. And one of the best live bait delivery systems I know of is the slip float. We use the classic slip float for so many species: walleye, panfish, muskie, salmon, even catfish. And one thing about the slip float is it's adjustable with a stop knot that enables you to position your bait at the right depth level.
It seems like there's many different ways, to present live bait, slip floats, bobbers, corks, live bait rigs, bottom bouncers. Joe, what would be the easiest way simply to present live bait?
I think the easiest for most people, in my estimation, is via a jig. In the North Country, jigs, particularly for walleye and panfish, it's just a critical tactic you need to have in your arsenal. And the key is the right jig. So specifically, the hook is vital for the bait you're fishing. For minnows, a longer light wire hook is really great. For leeches and night crawlers, I like a shorter shank. And in recent years, we've been using a cut bait on traditional bass flipping jib for catfish in rivers. So interestingly, when flipping wood, we catch bass, walleye, catfish, so many different species.
Yeah, that can be really fun. I've only done that one time. But what are some other rigs that you can suggest for using live bait?
One of my favorites is the drop shot rig, initially designed for finesse bass fishing with small plastics. And what most people don't know is it's a fabulous delivery system for minnows, leeches, panfish, walleye. There's just a lot of applications, and drop shotting positions the sinker below the hook. And generally I fish with a 12 to 18 inch dropper leader below the hook. And as a whole, drop shotting is more of a vertical presentation that fishes through rocks really well and surprisingly well through weeds.
Yes, drop shot, that's a really effective bait and used for a lot of different fish. It's one of my favorites. Well, Joe, thank you for your time and sharing that great information. And stay with us after this short commercial break. We have more Angling Buzz.
Like many of you, I've had back issues.
From the pounding waves of Lake Erie
to over 30 years of competitive angling.
And a lifetime on the water, but not anymore.
Smooth Moves changed the game.
It's a must-have for me and my clients.
It's like my boat is floating on air.
They're easy to install.
Fully adjustable.
It makes a day on the water a whole lot more comfortable.
Smooth your ride with Smooth Moves.
Tired of doing this?
Yeah!
Get a can of this and spend more time doing this.
Got one! Yeah! Whoa!
Marine Fishin' Pro Fuel Treatment helps marine engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Seafoam! Marine Pro, new from the makers of Seafoam. Marine Pro is a complete marine fuel system treatment. Just pour it in. Fast starts and smooth running power have never been this easy. Available now at Fleet Farm.
Lake Vermilion. Explore. Relax. Reconnect.
Minnesota's most beautiful lake.
Oh. Get hooked on our trophy walleye.
That's a beauty.
Bass.
My favorite fish.
Musky fish.
That's a beauty there.
Things to do? You'll never get bored.
Rooms with a view? We got 'em.
Lake Vermilion. 4 seasons of fun.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Welcome back to Angling Buzz. Right now it's time for our timely topics feature. We're talking live bait and we're talking walleye.
It's a bottom bouncer time of year. Let me show you some bottom bouncer rig here. And here's a typical bottom bouncer. It's a big wire bouncer. 2 ounces is pretty much the mainstay everywhere because you can go in any depths from 10 to 20, 30 feet. And I'm using Northland spinners, like a rainbow spinner. I have a cool little spinner here. It's a little slower spinning type of spinner with a worm hook. But I always like to bring a bunch of different spinners. Don't wreck your kid's noodle. Go out and buy a noodle and wrap your spinners on there and try a bunch of different things. I'll take a rainbow spinner and use that. Sometimes I'll add a pill float to it, but have a bunch of spinners. And you don't need to use those big bottom bouncers. Little rock runners work just fine. Here's an 1.5 ounce. Try different colors and they slide on your line. You could use them for live bait rigging. And then of course, one of my favorite ways to fish, I don't know if it's a pan fisherman in me, I like using a slip bobber. Let me bring that down to you here. A light bite slip bobber. You'll see I have a little bullet sinker and a good 2.5 feet of line to an RZ jig. And what I'll do is if I see some fish and they're not biting, I'll drive over them and drop it on them and go past them a little bit. And then that leech or that minnow will drop down right in front of the fish. You know, it's been known as speed corking since I can remember. I just call it a good way to put bait in front of the fish. And as far as measuring depth, use your rod as a good tool to measure depths. Here's a St. Croix fishing rod. This is a Icon rod. This is a 7.5 foot rod. And so if your knot is at the bobber tip and your hook is at the bottom, you're at 7.5 feet. So double that and you've got 15 feet just like that. So good way for speed, figuring out the depths. And then thumper heads are another thing. I've been known to have too many fishing rods in the boat, but they have that little barb that keeps the crawler on. I catch a lot of fish on that in Leech Lake. You could use it anywhere on the rocks. Anything around Pelican, the main lake, all the little rock humps have fish, and some of the rock points are still carrying fish. And minnows, I'll show you what a golden shiner looks like. Golden shiners now are just about all the lakes. Looks like a Cisco, looks like a regular lake shiner. Put that on a jig and rip it. But anything with a spinner is going to be your best bet. You could drag heavy Whistler jigs. These have UV. Add a chunk of crawler on the back or minnow. This time of year they still eat minnows. If you can get shiners, golden shiners work really well, or a fathead, especially if you're going in the weeds. You could drag it, pull it along the weeds. The lake encompasses a lot of area. It starts out Walker Bay is a really deep, cold lake. The east side of Leech Lake has a lot of vegetation, shallow, great for bass. There's so many different parts of that lake, it's just amazing. I'm guiding for walleyes all summer, but you catch big pike, muskies, bass, largemouth, smallmouth, bluegills, and crappies. And the crappies start biting in the summertime. Just fish the weeds and you'll catch some crappies. But right now I'm fishing little rock piles in the center of the lake, and those edges are holding fish. Can't tell you which one because I'm probably sitting there, but go out there and give it a try.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to present live bait for walleye, and it can change day to day. It can even change within the day. You just experiment and you'll find out which one is best. Well, stay with us. After this short commercial break, we have our Buzz Bite reports as Angling Buzz continues.
Simple, fast, and easy. This automatic launching and loading system on boat-to-trailer.com makes unloading and loading your boat a breeze on both roller or bunk trailer configurations. This system is a simple one-bolt install. No more hanging over the boat, no more cranking in the boat, and no more wet feet. Speed your boat ramp time by visiting boat-to-trailer.com.
Looking for the perfect fishing vacation? Leech Lake, Minnesota. There's over 112,000 acres of water to explore with fantastic walleye, bass, pike, panfish, and trophy muskies. The fishing opportunities are endless. Leech Lake has it all with over 30 resorts, lodges, campgrounds, and hotels line its pristine shores. Plan your trip. It's Minnesota's original up-north vacation destination.
Customer first. That's their mission at Dondelinger Auto. It's not just about the sale. It's about giving you peace of mind for as long as you own that vehicle. Dondelinger is home to the lifetime powertrain warranty for new and pre-owned vehicles, plus 10 years of roadside assistance. They have an incredible variety of the most popular vehicles and offer pickup and drop-off for service. Stop in to experience the Dondelinger difference today.
Welcome back to Angling Buzz. It's time for this week's Buzz Bite Reports. Let's head over to North Dakota with Jason Mitchell.
At home on Devil's Lake, we're starting to see an uptick in fishing activity. We're just getting easier to catch fish. Slip bobber and a leech is probably still the best way to catch fish, but I tell you what, it's definitely been a week of soft plastics. There's just a Northland slurp jig with just a salmo walleye shad. I tell you what, that paddle tail or boot tail casting up into shallow water, keeping the boat in 7 feet of water, casting up into 3 feet and just bringing it back to the boat. Soft plastics have been catching a lot of fish this week, and so definitely a deal now where these fish are getting more aggressive. You can move around a little more and try to find fish. We're also out of the Missouri River, and that bite continues to be tremendous. We caught a lot of fish, saw big numbers of fish. The big fish seem to definitely be filtering back through the system, back down into Lake Oahe, but you can still catch some really nice fish up in the river, even north of Bismarck and all the way up to the tail racers. Big fish scattered up and down the river, but those fish are definitely in transition and definitely moving a lot. And then also the small lakes are starting to turn on in North Dakota, and so everything's starting to happen. It's really, we're really looking at some of the funnest, easiest, best walleye fishing of the year here in the upper Midwest.
Thanks, Jason. Now let's head over to Leech Lake in Minnesota with the Leisure Outdoor Boys.
The lake's transitioned pretty quickly post-opener. We had a stretch of weather there that bumped those water temps into the low to mid-60s, so those fish have been moving. Jig and shiner should definitely be your primary go-to still, but also don't rule out Lindy rig fishing. Leech, crawler. With a leech, what I like to do is 6-pound mono leader, number 8 Gamakatsu hook. I know people think that's kind of a small hook, but it allows that leech to get up off the bottom. With a crawler, I'm not afraid to use some fluorocarbon, just because I know I'm going to bump that with some air, again, to keep it off the bottom. As those fish transition to those secondary points, they're going to slide a little deeper in that, say, 10 to 14 foot range. The other thing you can do is look to the harbors for crappies. It's a great time of year to fish harbor crappies, and Again, simple. Puddle jumper, any type of plastic, put it under a minnow and a float, and you're gonna have a great time. So leech is a great time to fish this time of year and get out there and have some fun.
Sounds like there's been a great bite on Leech Lake. Now let's head north to Lake Vermilion with Billy Rosner.
These warmer days, warmer nights, starting to kick that water temperature up nicely. The crappies are in doing their thing, spawning. The bass are gonna follow pretty quick. You get into those crappies, like I've said many times before, keep some of those smaller ones for a good fish fry and let those bigger ones go. Really important for the resource. Those same areas from 3 to 6, 8 feet of water. You got a lot of northern pike roaming around those areas. You can slow roll a Terminator spinnerbait or like a number 4 Blue Fox inline spinner. Will get you into some pike action. The walleyes are being walleyes. They're there one day, gone the next, but they can still be caught. Catching them on that first break. Live bait rigs with a minnow or a jigging minnow. And that's most of that time, that's like 15 to 18 foot. Some of those deeper troughs and holes also, we're getting some walleyes in, and pretty quick here, another week or so, they're gonna just start really moving and they're gonna be out on some of that early summer structure. So be versatile with the walleyes. Like I said, they're here one day, gone the next. Trust in your electronics and you'll get into some good action.
Thanks, Billy. Now let's head south to Otter Tail County with Garrett Sphere.
Today we're out catching crappies in the hard stem bulrushes, and what we like to do for that is we've got a pretty simple rig here. We've got a Northland Firefly jig. I really like pink and white. Tipped with one of these Northland Impulse mini smelts, just a little plastic smelt minnow. And then we have a slip bobber, a good size split shot. The reason you want to use a slip bobber rig like this versus a fixed float is I can throw this right into these rushes and it falls straight down in the water. If I try to use a pegged float, you end up hanging up and getting stuck in these rushes, these tubers. So if you use a slip bobber rig like this, you're going to be able to drop straight down and kind of pick those little pockets in the bulrushes. So just kind of getting started with the crappie spawn. You know, the fish have been shallow feeding for some time in the bays and in shallow water, but they're actually getting in spawning mode right now. We're hitting about 60-degree temps. This week's going to be great, so if you want to get up and catch some crappies in Otter Tail County, this is the time of year that you want to be here.
Now let's head east to the Hayward, Wisconsin area with Caleb Wistad.
Springtime in northern Wisconsin, everything's moving shallow, water temps are warming up, bass fishing is heating up, smallmouth have moved onto the rocks, jerk baits, you know, Ned rigs, oh there's one, are all catching fish. The largemouth are really turning on right now. That's what I'm fishing for today. And I mean, it's pretty phenomenal. All 4 feet and shallower, and lots and lots of action. You can catch them on almost anything too. They're really aggressive. Let me get this guy in the boat here. Just using the Ned rig right now on these. Lots and lots of 2-pound fish. Those males are moving up really shallow to get on the bed soon. Of course, walleye fishing, they're starting to get after that post-spawn lull, and they're starting to really bite up shallow in that 5 to 10 feet of water. You know, look for them with a little faster moving jig or plastic, and you'll find them. Crappies have moved into shallow bays. They're just staging to spawn. You'll find them right at the mouth of those bays where they're gonna move in and spawn in the reeds and stuff. So everything is super hot right now.
That wraps up this week's Buzz Bite Reports. Now don't go anywhere. After the short break, we have cool products and technique of the week as Angling Buzz continues.
You can't choose the weather, but you can choose outerwear that works. Technical apparel, rain gear, soft shells, sunwear, when you need to stay comfortable all day, choose Blackfish, because you can't choose the weather.
Northland tackles in the premium hardbait game. with the Rumble Crankbait Series. Available in 15 custom artisan colors. All Northland Rumble Series baits are handmade with a unique heat compression molding process that ensures unmatched durability and baits that run true on the troll and cast farther than the competition. You'll discover that walleyes and other species find their unique role in actions simply irresistible. You're going to want to up your game with these new cranks. Fishing is definitely better with BALSA.
In 2020, Minnesota watercraft inspectors found that 97% of boaters were doing their best to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species. In short, drain plugs were removed. No standing water was inside the boat, and no zebra mussels or plants were found on the boat or trailer. Thanks for following these simple habit-forming rules. Clean aquatic plants and animals from boats, trailers, and equipment. Drain all water from motors and live wells. Remove all boat plugs and dispose of unused bait in the trash.
And now it's time for our cool products brought to you by Fleet Farm. We're going to start out with the Wallfly from Kalin's. We featured Kalin's products on our cool product segments before for their soft plastic. This is kind of unique. This is a size 2 hook, and this is made for river fly fishing for walleye. A lot of different color options available. The Wallfly from Kalin's. And next from VMC, the Tokyo Rig Finesse Nico, and I have used this for bass, largemouth and smallmouth. You could also use this for walleye. This is great for dragging along rocks, boulders. It's very snag-free through weeds and timber, and it has a nice little keeper on there for soft plastics, and then you can interchange. You can see this part of it drops down right here, this part of the rig, and that's where you put on weight, whatever weight you want to use, a single big weight or 2 smaller weights to get a little bit of a clacking sound on there. From VMC, the Tokyo Rig Finesse Nico. And up next, a few products from Northland Tackle. We're going to start out with the butterfly blades. These are great for slow trolling. That's where these shine. They sell the blades by themselves like this in different sizes, different colors, so you can customize your rig as you like. You can also get pre-assembled rigs like this, and again, these are made for slow trolling down to 0.25 miles per hour, which can be absolutely key when walleye get finicky. And lastly, from Northland Tackle, the Fireball Sting and Jig. Now this is a mainstay for a lot of live bait fishermen, and this is good for bigger live bait. You can see it, long shank, wide gap hook, and then your stinger hook attachment on the back side of the jig head, the Fireball Sting and Jig from Northland Tackle. And it is important to keep your live bait fresh and alive, obviously. Well, Bait Caddy has you covered there. This is actually a great year-round unit for the upper Midwest because you can use this ice fishing and in open water. Easy open and close lid. You have holes in the back and in the front that helps keep fresh water going through there and keep the bait fresh. A nice easy carry handle, the Bait Caddy. And next from RAPALA, the heavy-duty R12 lithium fillet knife. This has 80 minutes of continuous run time, a couple different blades in here. There's a 6-inch blade, a 7.5-inch blade, and this is twice the speed and 3 times the torque of standard fillet knives. And there's 2 different lithium-ion battery packs in here, and they charge in just about an hour. The heavy-duty R12 lithium fillet knife from RAPALA. And next from St. Croix in the Icon series, this is the Bounce and Troll rod. And what's nice about this is rated for up to 3 ounces, which is important if you have heavier rigs. And this specific one right here, this is 7-foot, medium heavy power and moderate action. So if you are trolling, the moderate action allows enough flex in the baits to get the action out of it and enough backbone to set the hook on a big fish. This is the Icon series from St. Croix, and this is their Bounce and Troll rod. Fleet Farm has a lot of different options when it comes to rod and reel combos, and this is a great value one from Daiwa. This is the Daiwa Shock series. This is a 2-piece rod. I am a big fan of multi-piece rods, and I have used this one before. This is a size 2500 reel, so if you put like 8-pound monofilament on here, you can fish largemouth, smallmouth, walleye, possibly even crappie. A nice flex to the rod and a great value combo from Daiwa. And if you stop at your local Fleet Farm store, you'll see a lot of different options there. This is just one of them, the Daiwa Shock. And lastly, from Minn Kota, the Ulterra trolling motor. This has built-in mega imaging right into the unit. You can have a foot pedal control with this. You can also use a remote, and with the push of a button, you can deploy and store this trolling motor, which is quite unique. And then you can also have the one boat network with this, and of course the all-important spot lock feature from Minn Kota Motors, the Alterra trolling motor. Be sure to stop by your local Fleet Farm store. You can also shop online anytime at fleetfarm.com. And right now it's time for our Technique of the Week.
We got a really interesting mission going today. We're gonna go deep water walleye fishing with floats or bobbers. You know, over the years, Nick and I actually have caught a tremendous number of different fish species on floats, everything from salmon, trout, walleyes, muskies, northern pike, catfish. I mean, it works for all different fish species.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And you'll notice when we go out in the lake today, it is a fairly low wind day, and that lends itself to float fishing, because what you want to do is you want to put that bait as close to the fish as you possibly can, right above them ideally. And I don't know any fish out there that if you dangle a leech in front of its face, it's not going to snap. So,
boy, there's like a whole mess of them right there. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 big walleyes are sitting right there. You know, out here right now, there's a number of different presentations working. You got guys pulling spinners. You got guys pulling RAPALAs out in open water, trolling the abyss. And then you got guys that are live bait rigging and the float fishing. You got them.
Yep.
And that didn't take too long.
No. Just a little guy. Yeah, there's a couple ways that you can rig up for this particular activity. Right now, I'm just using a single hook with a little resin bead on it. Kind of nice for this live bait presentation with the leech. And I think Dad might have the same thing on, but he was talking about possibly switching over to a jig head.
I know a lot of the guides that fish out here quite a bit. Brad Hawthorne, Tony Roach, and a lot of those guys actually fish with a small jig.
Just because it's a different look, or?
It actually pins the leech down a little bit more, where the if you're using a straight hook, the leech has a tendency to swim out, where if you use the jig, it actually anchors the leech and actually positions the bait a little bit more accurately, you know, straight down versus actually a lot of times the way we've got it, because we got the leader, the leech can actually pull away from the sinker in the barrel swivel. The rig is relatively simplistic. When you look at this, it's actually just a jig, 3 feet of fluorocarbon. And then you'll notice I have a barrel swivel here, and then I actually have 2 split shot, the float, a bead, and then you actually up on my line 25 feet into my reel right now is my bobber stop.
Yeah, I can feel my bobber stop reeling up, but we do have a fish, so it's worth it.
Better one?
It's giving me a little muscle. Oh yeah.
See, oh, there you go. Wow, that's a better one.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a good one there. Look at that guy there. Now you're talking.
Nice.
That's a biggie. Holy mackerel.
Biggie indeed.
Nice.
How about this girl? Nice.
No question about it. You can see the effectiveness of floats for walleyes. You know, it's been a bluebird day, absolutely flat calm.
Yep.
You wouldn't consider this walleye conditions, but floats can make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
On next week's show, we're going to be talking about electronics and how to find fish with sonar, mapping, imaging, GPS. It's going to be an awesome show. And as always, we want to remind you to help stop the spread of aquatic invasive species. Anytime you're leaving any body of water, clean, drain, dry. Well, thank you for joining us this week. I'm Troy Linder, and we'll see you next time.